Good morning. It's the 31st of July. I'm in Raven. It's about 7:45 in the morning, and as you can see, I'm just making a cup of coffee. But I'm not in the normal place because I drove Raven up onto the Downs, up onto Ventner Downs. Am I chopping my head off there? Probably. Just making a cup of coffee before going to have a quick walk. You can hear the wind on the vent cover. I might have to close those down a little bit in a second. Let's just make this coffee. Yeah, it's good that Raven, having been parked in one area for about 3 or 4 weeks without the engine being started, just started up instantly, straight away. Maybe my fear about alternators and all that were unfounded. Fears, you're definitely chopping my head off. That's a bit better. So yes, current tasks or priorities. I have reached a little bit of a hiatus, or I had. I was just waiting for some jigsaw drill bits, saw bits to arrive. They've now arrived, so I can cut one of the bits of ply to go in the back on the floor, then the second little strip. I don't have one bit of ply that's big enough to cover the whole of the back of the floor. It'd have to be about 4'3" by 5 foot, or yeah, thereabouts. I'm going to have to make do and put two sheets of ply together to do the whole of that area of floor. Bearing in mind, the ply is probably a temporary step, because later I want to put some floorboards down, but not in the back, because that's probably going to have the bed over it. Not 100% sure yet. What I want to do is basically get everything cleared, get the floor down, clear the space a bit, and then start to plan where the bed can go. I've got 3 or 4 ideas of how I'd like it to be laid out, including a no bed option, which just involves rolling out a bed every evening and then folding it away and put it into storage during the day, which would maintain a much bigger space, but probably not, because I do need storage, and a good place for storage is under a bed if I have a fixed bed. So I think what I'm going to do is stick to my initial plan, which is to have a bed over the back. Just got to double check I can sleep lengthways. Just waiting for this to boil. Lengthways, that'll do. And if I can, then I can have a bed with a hatch in the middle, so I can get through to the back doors easily enough from within the van. Oh, a nice cup of coffee. Of all the coffees I drink around Ventnor, my own coffee is my second favourite after Blake's Tea Hut, after Abby's coffee. My own coffee made in Raven is my favourite. I like tea from Tony's Tea Room. Right. What I don't think I got here is my headband. Obviously, Flea is downtown. If I haven't got my headband, which I'm 99% sure I haven't got. No, definitely haven't got it. Let's put a layer on. And oh, excuse the microphone scratching. Yeah, if I haven't got my headband to mount the camera, then it's just going to be a walk with me holding the camera. I've misplaced my Osmo Pocket 3 at the moment. the camera I normally walk around with when I want to hold a camera. It's in Raven somewhere, I think. Could be in Flea somewhere. Under the bed in Flea, maybe. Let's drink a little bit of coffee, then go for a quick walk. Not bad. So yeah, as soon as I can get that cut, I can get the ply sanded down and the edges of it sealed. Then get it laid down, which will be a relief. Right, let's close those vents, or those covers. Where's my microphone? There it is. Right. Stick you on there. So the vents covers. These things up here, you just wind in. They close up. Less air coming through. I do like it nice and airy. So I always have these open overnight. I need to put the screen back up on this one. Ooh, go on camera, there's a screen on this one. There's a screen on this one. Like a mosquito net or mesh type thing. But the other one I took down to clean and haven't put it back up again. So, what's that down there? Haven't got my glasses on. Whoa. One headband. That means I can put the camera on my head. There we go, we have the camera on my head. Another quick slurp of coffee. So at the moment I'm sleeping here, as you can see, just on the floor, on a bit of old foam. Not old foam, it's actually quite new foam that was already in the Vanbuild. Got a big old space here. It's going to be epic, this van, when it's done. Very nice home. Very nice tiny home on wheels, which, relative to my other recent homes, my Malingo and then C1, is going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Excuse me, just doing me sandals up. I suspect it's going to be a little bit chilly in that wind. You can probably hear it's quite breezy out there. Oh, yeah, it's a little bit fresh. Lovely and sunny. Oh, yeah, it's only going to be a very brief walk up along here. Don't really want to walk into the sun, do I? We really are slap bang in the middle of, well, not in the middle of, we're at the very beginning of the bird migration period now. It's 31st of July, I believe. Is that last day of July? 2026, just up on Ventner Downs, which is tinder dry. No wildfires up here this year, as far as I know. yeah, people have been seeing redstarts and windchat and willow warblers and early migrant birds beginning to work their way south. Now it's, as far as they're concerned, it's the beginning of autumn. Not that they have, or not that they have names for seasons. It's just they've finished their breeding. A lot of them are young ones born this year, gradually working their way south, not in a rush, not at the end of July anyway. They'll be wandering around basically, loads of whitethroats as well, locally bred ones and ones that have just appeared. Yeah, rest in peace Bill Oddie. Yeah, not only a goodie, I remember the goodies, goody gum. I remember the goodies, but I also remember all his bird watching fanaticism. I didn't really watch his programmes as much. He did a few BBC bird watching programmes, but I certainly read some of his books. My all-time favourite of Bill Oddie's is Bill Oddie's Gone Birding, which is a less well-known one, I think. All about his local patchwork. Follow That Bird is another one which I can't really remember very well, but it's a good one. And obviously Bill Oddie's Little Black Bird book, which I need to read again. That's a satirical take on bird watching as a obsession. What's that over there? There's a wheatear just flying away. I haven't got my binoculars on me, which is crazy. Yeah, I just, with Bill Oddie, it was just his obsession with local birding, Hampstead Heath and Bartley Reservoir and his various local patches, birdwatching patches, that he wrote about in his books. That got me hooked on local patch birding like this, really. Walking around one little area, not so much the twitching, which is where somebody else finds a rare bird and then you go and see the bird they've found all across the country. That's not really my style of birding. There's stone chats up there. Yeah, so I'm not really into the twitching side of things, unless there's a bird on the Isle of Wight, or when I'm in Cornwall, a bird in Cornwall. Much more about local patchwork, where you basically select an area close to where you live, or where you're in your van in my case, and cover it every day, or as often as you can, before work or after work or during work, depending on your job. And so my local patch for, well, the most consistent long-term local patch is Ventnor on the Isle of Wight. Up here, Ventner Downs. I've also had Kidbrooke in southeast London, Crossness in southeast London before it became a nature reserve, or became a well-known bird watching spot as it is now. Didn't really have a local patch in Cornwall, to be honest. Pendennis in Falmouth is the closest I got. It never really warmed to me, bird watching in Cornwall, which is weird. I had every opportunity to make the far southwest my bird watching patch, but I was always drawn back to here, the Isle of Wight, and Ventnor in particular, which I still love to this day, and I've still come back to it when I go to Cornwall, which incidentally I'm going to do imminently. I've got meetings down in Devon. There's a meadow pipit. Are you a meadow pipit? Oh, you've got a very long tail. Yeah, you are a meadow pipit there. Yeah, really should have binoculars on me. Yeah, I'm going to be heading down because I've got meetings in around Dartmoor and North Devon as well. And then from there, I should imagine I'll go down to Falmouth for a few days. Change of scene. So it'll be late August or second half of August. And then, well, yeah, I was going to say, and then I'll go down there in September, but we're then into peak birding time here, so I'm always torn in autumn about whether to be down there or whether to be up here. I think, to be honest, I'll be here on the Isle of Wight doing another birding autumn skylark. Yeah, it is quite chilly. Just begin to feel that it is turning. It's not just a mad birding form of autumn starting. It does genuinely feel like autumn might be just around the corner. The blackberries are everywhere. Elderberries are beginning to turn black, to ripen. Bird migration has started. Most people obviously think of July, August as midsummer, which it kind of is. The old cattle. Let's go down this way. Have a butcher's along the fence line. This is Coombe Bottom, which is a really good area for migrant birds. Chiff chaff, or willow warbler actually. I wonder what the time is. I actually haven't got a clue. Very nice. that will do. I'm going to get back down into Ventnor Bay, I think. Doesn't seem to be much around this morning, bird migration wise. Barely seen anything. Not even had a white throat, and I know there are loads of white throats up here at the moment. They breed up here in good numbers, and there'll be loads of young ones around, flitting about, blundering about, trying not to be eaten by the sparrowhawks. I can hear a white throat now. At least one. Not sure how well this will come out with the camera attached to my head. It's worth a try though. Driving Raven back down to the bay. Well, not the bay. It's going to park. Oh, there's a sparrowhawk. Sparrowhawk flew across the front of Raven just after I was speaking about a sparrowhawk. Very cool. Hopefully that was captured on the camera. Camera might be tilted too low to have caught that, but maybe it did. There's some wicked potholes in this road now. Luckily I know where they are. Otherwise Raven will be really angry with me. Meaty one just there on that little corner. Right, let's see if we can get down here without encountering anyone coming up. Next to impossible at this time of day with the dog walkers coming up and down. And the odd bird watcher. Bird watchers, well, they're all very odd, but yes, the odd bird watchers. So far so good, avoid the bunny. So far so good. This is a little section that tends to be tricky, especially this bend here, where people tend to whiz up at an alarming pace. There we go, completely clear. Down we go. Which way should we go? Let's go Gills Cliff, I think. Assuming it is actually open. Never really a safe assumption these days. So Upper Gills Cliff, which is this road, is certainly open. Nice citron there, little one. Yep, looks open to me. Excellent. So I've avoided the three-way, or is it four-way traffic lights around Zigzag Alpine kind of junction. Bellevue Alpine, Zigzag, that kind of area. Did well today, avoiding the traffic as well. Coming this way. Yeah, so oh damn, I should have stopped there. Had a bit too much momentum. Get back used to the clutch control on Raven, given I've not driven you for quite a while. Just getting back used to it. No, he's not going to wait. Yes, he is. Let's see if I can park a little way somewhere different, basically. Try and avoid parking the same place every day. I don't think I can though. Oh yes I can. I can park right here. Well, before we turn our attention back to the van, back to Raven and the Vanbuild, let's have a look at the view from Ventnor Bay. So what I need to go and do is cut a bit of ply, basically, that was in the original Vanbuild. The base to the bed, or one of the 4 bits of wood that was the base to the bed, which is high quality external plywood. Which I'm very fortunate to have that. So I'm going to cut, well basically it's got loads of notches and angles cut out of it from the original Vanbuild. So I need to square it off by cutting some edges off. Cutting out those cut bits, if you see what I mean. And then I can fit that to the floor and then fit a sliver in the gap, because it's not quite big enough. That's fine though. It'll all be covered up eventually. I'll probably replace with some sort of boarding, some sort of rustic van cabin style boarding. Anyway, let's go and cut that ply. Okay, so I've laid the bit of timber down. I was tossing up whether to have a cut going that way or a cut going this way. Now, a cut going this way follows the cut in the other bit of ply up there on the front. As you can see, it doesn't align, but it does follow the direction of the cut. It's a purely practical rather than a cosmetic question in terms of where to put the cut, because all this is going to be covered up anyway. You'll also notice I've not done what everyone else does. I've not used the template of this old bit of ply that was already in the base at the back that goes around the wheel rims. I could have used that, trace that easily onto this ply and cut to shape and then slid in. I've decided not to do that. Still time to do it, because I figure, well, firstly I'm going to box out this, so I don't need to follow the curves, don't need the plywood to be cut into and shunted up, because it's going to be a square box. So when I put a square box over the wheel arch, I'll then have a square gap in here to fill in, and a square gap here to fill in. And I can design that so that these anchor points remain accessible. And it's just easier to do it the lazy way. So, and this is all going to be behind cabinets anyway. So I have no cosmetic reason for doing a nice template around this and pushing the timber up. There's no real structural reason to do it. So effectively the decision was just to cut a rectangle, plonk it into place nice and easy. I'll do a thinner sliver in here and then just cut some timber to go in these gaps and it'll be job done. Now, as an obvious step, because this bit of ply, of which I have several sheets, is, what is it, 12 mil I think, whereas this stuff is 18 mil I think. I had measured it all, I just can't remember. So this is 18 mil. This is 12 mil, so there's an obvious step. I don't care, because, well, I was going to say because I'm going to replace this ply. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to keep this ply and just put some sort of laminated stuff over the top of it to make a log cabin look. Over here, I'm going to basically put probably the bed frame along here, and then a section of raised floor, raised quite high here, so I'm basically stepping from the living room area up towards the bed area, and there'll be a bench seat over here which will basically obscure this area, this change in depth of the ply, change in thickness of the ply, so I don't care, it's all fine is what I'm saying. It all fits in with the build in terms of the alignment of different aspects of the build. Then I'll have a nice big living room area over there, eventually. I found this in Ventnor Savers, a knee pad. I won't bother taking out the wrapper. It can stay in there. What I need to do is to measure the gap and leave a bit of space. Bearing in mind it's going to be boxed out, the wheel arch. Basically I want to measure the gap between there and there. So where's my tape measure? There it is. The gap is, if I leave a little bit of a 6 mil gap roughly for the dodo mat, it's about 42 centimetres. Yeah, I'd say that's 42 centimetres exactly. So the sliver of timber I'm going to cut to fit in here will be 42 centimetres. I have another bit of ply that's exactly the same length as this bit in terms of going that way. So 42 centimetres there, and then it will automatically be the right length, or the same length, all the way across there. So I'll do that later today. Okay, so the floor is basically down, the ply floor, in terms of the central bit. Finally. So all the insulation is underneath, all the rails are done, the floor was repaired, and I can begin to think about layout of units now. So like I said, these gaps that I've left are going to be under cabinets, so I'm going to insulate those and then probably put some ply down, but bearing in mind here there's going to be kind of a garage space stretching across. Let me just zoom out a little bit. A garage space stretching across here, with a gap in the middle that you lift out. This will be the bed, by the way, the bed platform, I think, if I go with this design. Bed platform going all the way along here. So these two corner areas with no ply are both going to be kind of exposed, in that I'm going to be getting in and out to a garage space. So I'll need to put ply down there. Let's turn around. In terms of that gap and that gap, they're probably going to be behind cabinets that will go along that way, and a smaller one along there going towards a sliding door. So I'll probably put some ply in there as well. We'll see. Got a gap there to fill in, obvious holes there. Got to fill in the screw holes in the wheel arch there. Done this wheel arch in terms of the screw holes. Put the old dodo mat over them, sound deadening stroke, a bit of insulation. Then box them in. Build a frame along here for the bed. Stroke. Well, it would be a bed that will span, I think, from about here, this point, all the way across to the same point over here, with a gap in the middle that you can lift off and then walk through, and then two big storage areas either side. What fun. Right, a quick interlude. I really hope you're enjoying my channel, and I get quite a lot of questions. How did you end up living in a car? How do you live in a car? And what are your plans going forward? Well, I've written a book on that subject, Breaking Free, by Cornish van dweller, funnily enough. You can find a link to where to purchase that in the description below this video, and where you'll also find links to my other books, such as this one, oddly enough, which is How to Write a Book on a Smartphone. And this book was actually written on my iPhone Mini 13 using voice to text dictation. And you'll also find this book, Bird Watching Around Ventnor. Link to that in the description below this video, and this one as well, Wildlife Watching Around Ventnor. I've written about 10 books, all of which are linked in the description below this video. Right, let's get back to watching my videos.